Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a Top 5 Wednesday. Top 5 Wednesday is a Goodreads group that was created originally by Ginger Reads Laney and is now maintained by Samantha at Thoughts on Tomes, and it's a lot of fun. It's just like weekly top 5 lists, providing easy topic material if you feel like talking about books and you don't know what to talk about today. I don't participate in this very often. Every once in a while I try to, and for some reason those videos never really make it past the editing stage. I film them, and then when I get to filming them, I never really like them, so we'll see if this one makes it through. I really like the topic for this one. I find that a lot of the times I try to start doing it and I can't keep up with the topics because sometimes they're just topics I don't think about personally when it comes to books, and I can't pick books for it very easily, or they're just books that I don't have very strong feelings on that I do eventually pick out for those things, and so I can't talk about them in a way that makes sense. But today, we are talking about our favorite romance novels. And I love romance. I went through a phase as a teenager when I tried to say, like, you know, I feel like everybody kind of goes through this phase where you're just like, oh, romance is dumb, why do they have to put a romance in everything? Why does there always have to be a love interest? And, like, I did go through that phase, but, like, genuinely, I really enjoy romance, because I feel like a lot of the time, part of the problem is that a lot of the time when a romance exists in the story, the characters who do the romance don't emotionally connect to anybody else in the story. They don't have best friends, they don't have family, they don't have other emotional connections except for the romantic partner in a very genuine, deep kind of way. And that can get really grating. But I do think that genuine human connection is kind of the point in the long run for things. This is gonna sound maudlin, but like the point of life as a whole, I think it comes down to genuine human connection, and romance is one of the ways that we as a species kind of try to figure that out and get to that genuine human connection. Which is why I really like romance novels, because I like reading the different kinds of ways that we imagine that happens. That being said, most romance novels are crap. Most romance novels are trash. I love them. They're great fun trash, but a lot of the time they are trash. And especially once you get into like an older set of romance novels, if you start reading romance novels from the early 2000s or from the 90s, there's a lot of really problematic content and a lot of really problematic tropes, and I feel like, you know, those things are still kind of around. There are certain series and authors that write about problematic people having problematic romances and then passing them off as just these passionate, romantic, tumultuous romances, when really they're just unhealthy relationships that shouldn't be romanticized. That's neither here nor there in terms of this video, because I'm not going to talk about any of those in specifics, and I'm just going to babble on about romances forever. So basically, this is my top 5 romance novels that I saw on my shelves today. I've read a lot more romance novels than the ones I'm going to show you today. I love a lot more romance novels than the ones I'm going to show you today, but the ones that I picked out are the top 5 of today. The first on this list is Vision in White by Nora Roberts. This is the first book in the Bride Quartet by Nora Roberts, and this book is kind of a stand-in for the whole quartet, because I love the whole quartet. The concept, the romances, the ways that it all kind of works out at the end, but I picked this one, the first book in the quartet, because it is my favorite. This series follows 4 best friends who open a wedding business together, and over the course of the 4 books, each of the 4 friends kind of falls in love. The first one is about their wedding photographer, Mac, who falls in love with a high school teacher named, what's his name again? I'm really bad about names. Who falls in love with an English teacher named Carter, and they're adorable, and I love everything about their romance. I love the nuances, I love how, you know, the ups and downs, how they have to get over internal and external conflicts to finally make it work, and I think it's just adorable and cute and good, and there's some angst in it, but there's also, like, a lot of really good things in it, and it's not an unhealthy relationship, and that's part of one of the reasons that I love it so much. is that I think it portrays a very healthy relationship being built. Plus the whole the whole romance novel centered around a wedding business thing is like, I know it's tropey, like I know that there's a lot of it going around, like there's a lot of it that exists, like the wedding planner and all of those other kinds of like things like that, but like I love it. I am trash for it. Trash. The next book on my list, I tried not to pick the same author multiple times, but like, goddamn if Nora Roberts doesn't have my heart. So this book is Inner Harbor, Book 3 of the Chesapeake Saga by Nora Roberts. I love the Chesapeake Saga. I do think it is a quartet. There are 4 books. The first trilogy, and then there's a 4th one. And I've read all of them. I started with the 4th one. Again, I picked this one out because it's my favorite. I really like the 2 characters who fall in love in this one the most. The story centers around, there's a family in Chesapeake Bay, and they adopt 3 teenaged boys, and then when they grow up, the father passes away right after he's adopted another boy, and so now the older brothers, who are now all adults, financially independent, and living their own lives, have to come together to raise this kid who was just adopted by their grandfather. And there are other plot things that happen in the series as well, but again, over the course of the 3 books, the 3 brothers each fall in love. This is a trope that Nora Roberts does a lot, where she'll create a group of people, and then over the course of the series, each member of that group will gain a partner of some kind, will have a romance of some kind. Yes, and then the 4th book is the youngest brother eventually having his own romance as well once he grows up and becomes an adult. And I really like this series as well. I think it once again prioritizes healthy relationships over unhealthy relationships, and I really enjoy the in particular in Inner Harbor, the woman who's falling in love, she's a psychologist who's come to town to try to find out what happened to her sister's son, and the sister's son just happens to be the boy who was adopted by the family of brothers, and so she falls in love with the 3rd brother, and it's just wonderful. There's a lot of, this is an angstier kind of set of novels than the Bride Quartet is, but I also really love them. Next on the list is a new adult book. This is called A Little Something Different by Sandy Hall. This book is adorable. It is a romance novel. It's about 2 college students kind of having a budding romance, but the twist is that this story is told from the perspective of everybody else. You never really get, you don't get the main character's perspective at all. You're watching their love story from the outside, so you get the teachers that are around them, their friends, their siblings, their family, everybody else. In fact, I think there's even like the perspective of a squirrel, or the perspective of a park bench that they happen to meet at, and it's adorable. It's really cute and funny. It's lovely. My main complaint with this book is that like the slow burn was a little too slow for me. Just a little, like just a little too slow for me, and I don't want to say too much and give too much away, but I feel like this ends up feeling a little bit like everybody's shipping to people who don't necessarily know if they want to be shipped together. But I think it's really cute, I think it's really original, I love the concept, I liked reading it. I read this actually when I was just going into college, and so I think timing just kind of worked out right for me to like it. But it's adorable, like absolutely adorable, and romance is the main thing that's happening here, and it's so good. Next book on my list is The Coincidence of Coconut Cake by Amy E. Reichert. This book is also really cute. You'll notice a trend. Most of these are just really adorable kinds of things. I like my romance with a healthy dose of fluff in them. I like the happy ending. I like the idea that everything's gonna turn out okay. I like it when there is there has to be problems. There has to be conflict. But I love it when they get really, like, cute Like, really cute. And I think the coincidence of coconut cake is, once again, really cute. This book is about a chef named Lou Johnson. She owns a restaurant called Luella's, and at the beginning of the novel, she is engaged to be married to somebody else, and I think she's engaged. Yes, she is engaged, and one day she walks in on her fiancé with somebody else, and suddenly she's not engaged, and her restaurant is not doing as well, and she's having a really bad time altogether. Along comes our British transplant named Al, who is, he's a journalist. He anonymously writes restaurant reviews. So he writes a review of Lou's restaurant. The two meet, and things kind of go off from there. I'm not explaining this very well at all. Basically what happens is Lou and Al meet. Al writes a terrible review of her restaurant, and her restaurant starts doing really poorly, and they don't know that they basically don't know that he wrote the article, and she doesn't know he wrote the article, and he doesn't know she owns the restaurant. And they fall in love separately from that, and so there's this miscommunication plot under the whole thing. But it's really justified. Miscommunication is one of those things that's really, really hard to do well. Most of the time I hate it. Most of the time I think it's crap. It's awful. But in this book, I thought it was done expertly, and it gave me so many emotions, and I really loved that. And it's also really adorable. The final book on my list, this is my actual legitimate #1 romance so far in my life that I have read, and that is Hawksong by Amelia Atwater Rhodes. This isn't explicitly, like, I don't think you would find this on the romance genre shelf. This is a YA novel, but I personally believe that the biggest part of this book, thematically, is the romance. It is a romantic story at its heart. The core of the book is romantic, and I really like that about it. This book is set in a war-torn world where there are two kingdoms. The kingdom of shapeshifters who can turn into snakes, and the kingdom of shapeshifters who can turn into birds. And they've been at war forever. Literally, no one can remember anymore when they weren't at war. And it is terrible, and exhausting, and everybody's grief-stricken, everybody's lost someone, most people have lost multiple someones, everybody kind of dies tragically. I don't think there exists in this world the idea of dying peacefully in your sleep. Like, the dream exists, but it doesn't happen anymore because everybody dies in this stupid war that just has gone on forever. It's gone on for so long that nobody even really knows why it is anymore. It's just the idea that the snakes can't be trusted and the birds are soulless, and it's a horrible, terrible war. Enter our main character. The heir to the throne of the birds comes along. She wants to stop this war, whatever it takes. Literally whatever it takes. She's not really willing to fight it anymore. She doesn't want to see any more bloodshed. She doesn't want to lose anyone else. And then on the other side of it, the heir to the snake throne, his name is Zane. He's apparently super gorgeous. And appealing and all of that stuff. He's in the same boat. This is about the two of them learning to trust each other and trying to do their best to end this war in any way possible. And it's adorable. And it's angst-filled, and it's just... It just gives me so many feelings. The two of them give me so many feelings, and I love this book. The rest of the series, I don't remember loving as much, but I read them a really long time ago, and so I kind of want to read them again. But this book in particular, I adored. This is my #1 in terms of, like, this is a great romance, and it just gives me all of the emotions, and it's so good. So yes, those are my top 5 romances of the moment. I hope you have a really wonderful Wednesday, and I will see you next time.